right? Characters show who they are through their actions. Whenever you're reading a book or watching a TV show or anything, and it's like, oh, it's time to show who the character is, and they tell you who they are. No. When characters when the way to use characters when they're talking to another character and saying, I am this, it should always be in the context of what the audience already knows. So if someone is talking to Kachko, and they've already seen her say, I want this person dead, I want this person dead, I want this person dead. And then you're on the mission, the third mission, and she said, I want this person dead. And she shows up, and she's talking to that person and going, oh, I'm very, blah, 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 be very gracious. Oh, and I'm glad to be here and everything. That gives the audience, in this case the players, the opportunity to see how duplicitous she is and how good she is at being duplicitous. Right? So again, what do you show people? Show, don't tell. Show, don't tell. Show, don't tell.
Yes, our method of getting into the household ended up being through the bodyguard. And how was it that it ended up that you asked, oh, Jen, yes, you're going to play Go with her. Okay, what else are you going to do? And ended up seducing her.
Yep.
And that little nudge there.
Yes.
That told me a little bit about how my character was operating.
It's a question about, again, it was a question about when you ask the players questions, you're asking them, what is your character about? And in that case, it was, okay, Jen, you're playing a scorpion courtier, or essentially a scorpion courtier, and what exactly is it that you're willing to do to get close to the bodyguard?
Yeah.
And by showing that, not only did it show me who your character is, because this was the first session, it also showed you who your character was.
Yeah, someone who is willing to go out there, to get a little bit,
And also, as I would learn later, one of Jen's goals in the game is to have romances. So, which, again, and when a player is like, this is what I want, like, okay, then you give them what they want. Just not always in the way they expect, and not always in the way that they want.
And the direction it took was kind of surprising for me.
Yep.
Yeah.
Did you expect to get seduced by Kachko?
No.
And then you're like, I have been seducing characters all this time, and I've been getting what I want. Now, oh shit, I'm on the other end of this.
The shoe is on the other foot.
Yes.
Yeah. The shoe is on the other foot, and now I feel terrible.
You're like, what have I done?
What have I done?
And what effect is this going to have on me? Because one of the things that you told me when we first started playing the game is that your character was very saw Kachko as kind of like a role model. Mm-hmm. And so when your character gets the opportunity to get closer to your role model, of course you say yes, but you also, Jen, the player, also knows, oh God, I'm doomed. And someone once asked me, they're like, "Hey, John, John, you want to meet, I mean, if what L5R character would you want to meet in real life?" And someone said, "Oh, he wants to meet Kachko." I'm like, "No, if I meet Kachko, that means that I've caught her attention. I don't want her attention. I don't want her to know I exist. That would be bad."
Toku. We want to meet Toku because Toku.
Want to meet Toku? Yes.
Yeah.
Which which is another character that it's funny because you guys did meet Toku.
Yes, we did. Fairly early on.
Yep. And he was going around being his Percival character, like I wanted him to be. I'm a farmer who has super romantic notions of being a samurai, and turns out he is the greatest samurai in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a lot of fun to see you guys. I mean, part of the game, part of L5R, is getting people, is like I said, giving people what they want. And one of the things they want is they want to interact with the NPCs. And not everybody does, but the majority of players do. They want to meet NPCs, and they want to interact with them, and they want to have stories with them. And so, again, you can the whole inevitable but surprising thing is you can give them the NPC, but the NPC is a little bit different than they expected, and or they're exactly what they expect,
Mm-hmm.
and more so.
So our first encounter with the Kitsuki magistrate went about exactly as we expected.
Yes, the great enemy of the Scorpion clan, the Kitsuki magistrates.
Yeah, and that was fun right out of the gate.
Yeah, because he knew exactly what all of you were up to right away. He took one look at you and went, "Oh, there's a group of Scorpion in disguise." Okay.
But fortunately, we knew about his lost love.
Yep.
We figured out about his lost love and what he wanted there. And figured out pretty quickly that our agendas need not clash.
Yes.
Yes, because there was a murder. The bride's father was murdered on the way to the wedding. And who done it?
And it just so happened that there was a Kitsuki magistrate right there. The Columbos of Rokugan just happened to be there, and not only did you guys help him solve the crime, which he was grateful for, but you also arranged for the murderer's death.
Yes.
Which is something he could not accomplish. And so he kind of turned a blind eye to it.
Something he could probably not arrange for himself, and having things tied up very neatly for him is
Yep.
all the better. Yeah, because the this character that we were to kill had a Scorpion Wakizashi.
That was your parents' Wakizashi.
My grandfather's. How surprised were you that someone jumped in and said, "Yes, that's mine"?
I wasn't it was taken off guard, yeah, because it was like, oh, okay, I didn't expect that. But because somebody used a roll to say that he's wearing a Scorpion Wakizashi, and then you used your other thing and said, yes, it's my grandfather's. And that was really cool because, again, it's a player telling you, okay, that's a story that I want to be involved in. I have utilized a resource. I have spent a point, essentially, to say, I want a part of that. And when a player does that, then that's what you give them. You let them be a part of it.
Yeah. I thought that was seeded by you, but no, that was seeded by someone else that you took advantage of.
Yep. Well, you were the one who said it's my grandfather's
yeah.
Wakizashi. Yeah. And again, like I said, as soon as a player says that's mine, they're explicitly telling you, I want to be part of this, and so you say yes.
I wonder who was it that came up with that first?
That was a year ago. I don't remember.
It doesn't matter. I suppose
It may have been Todd, because I know Todd was using his sword skill as his
Yes.
knowledge roll. And that would make sense that he would say something like, he has a Scorpion Wakizashi, because that's clearly like something Todd's character, who is the duelist, right, would be interested in.
And possibly be one of the reasons why Kachiko wants him dead.
Oh, yeah. And sent you.
As a Shisuro. One Shisuro to another.
That's right. Oh, look, here's an opportunity for you to get revenge.
Oh my gosh. And then after talking to the Yusuke, we do our own little questioning, and it turns out that Tatsuo had sent his lovesick Yojimbo to kill his father-in-law.
Mm-hmm. So, that actually plays back to one of the first adventures that we did for L5R, which was the Bushido adventure, which was a 3-part adventure that ends with and it involves a Yojimbo. So as soon as somebody said he's seducing his Yojimbos, I was like, okay, here's something I can pull out of my old toolkit. It's going to be a little bit different, but it is a Yojimbo who is loyal to their daimyo, and there will clearly come a time when what you do is you spend, as the GM, is you spend time making the Yojimbo as cool as possible. And in this case, we made her incredibly honorable and skilled and charming, and you just, as the GM, you just turn on your charm and make them, and your wit and everything else, and you just try to make them cool. And again, the way that you show the audience a character is you put the character in situations where they have to make decisions, and then based on their decisions, the audience will understand who that character is. So for this NPC, I had to put the NPC in various positions where you could watch her make decisions, and then you would be like, oh, we like this NPC. And then once the third act betrayal shows up, once the reveal that who the real villain of the story is, which is her daimyo, now she is put in a position where she has to choose between the players and her daimyo.
And I remember I went on a "you're too good for him" speech.
Yep.
Oh. You're too good for him, and she confessed everything. And we had put her in a position where she could be overheard.
Yep.
And boy, did that bridal party react really fast.
Yeah, well, Rokugani tend to act pretty fast.
Yep. And Tatsuo fled into the gardens, the enraged bridal party rising to their feet to pursue. Mikiko and Fujin tried to delay him. Though one took a grave injury, I urged Shiriko to seize back her honor and strike down Tatsuo. Though he was 10 paces or more ahead of her, she threw her sword and impaled him to the tree in the garden.
Dun dun dun.
Sobbing, she stood over him as the Moto bride emerged in a fury and cursed his fallen form. Yeah.
Yeah, she wasn't too happy with what he did.
No.
Those Moto are pretty black and white.
Mm-hmm. And the Emperor was there. And I remember the Emperor was there. Rumor has it the Emperor looked amused, but we were gone before anyone but Kitsuki Yodai noticed.
And so you guys have met Kachiko.
Yep.
Although she hasn't taken any actions yet. She hasn't made any decisions that you've seen. So she's kind of a question mark, actually, what she actually is. So the only thing that all of you have to go on is stuff that, because in a game, the game session is canon,
Yep.
right? Everything else is outside of canon. At least that's the way that I view it.
We had a discussion about this before we jumped into the game.
Yeah. About, what would be canon and what wouldn't, and all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. And because Kachko is a question mark, and she remained a question mark for multiple sessions, it means that none of you were really sure who she was, or what her real motivations were, or anything like that. And then my goal was to keep that as true as long as possible, and keep giving you escalating missions of danger, and just escalate the danger, escalate the sacrifice, just keep escalating every mission until finally you would go, we need to know who Kachko is. Right? But that was much later down the course.
Well, I don't know. Things escalated pretty fast. Because the next mission we went on was to bring Doji Hattori to Shiro Shisuro.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you guys got to meet Doji Hattori.
We did. And that was lots of fun.
And what was he like?
And he was great. He's charming, handsome and charming, and very, very interested in coming with us to Shiro Shisuro. As we had figured out, as we knew of the epic flirtations, we knew of the abrupt cutoff of the epic flirtations. Mm-hmm. And 15 years later, here we are. And
in character, none of you knew how far those flirtations actually went.
Not in the least.
You knew that there were rumors that they were, that they were doing more things than just flirting at each other, across the room and things like that. But you had no idea how far they had gone.
And those were rumors. Absolutely rumors, and to suggest anything more would be to
question their honor.
To question their honor and end up on the wrong side of Hattori's katana. And nobody wants that.
Yeah. Or the wrong side of Kachko's fan.
Yes, even worse.
Well, at least Hattori's sword would be quick.
Yeah. So we had figured out that he had inexplicably gone to Dragonlands to seek enlightenment. Okay. That was another one of those roll and you tell me what's going on. Which for me as a storyteller, I would find absolutely nerve-wracking to give that level of latitude. But you do it.
Why?
I guess I like things a little bit more outlined.
Okay. I can't tell you you're wrong.
Yeah. But then you've been running games for far longer than I have and have a lot more, I don't know, mental flexibility?
Improv classes. Honestly, a lot of improv classes. I took a lot of improv classes when I was in high school. I was at the Albany Little Theater in Albany, Georgia, and I was doing youth productions there. And we did a lot of improv exercises, or improv games, you would call them now. And then when I went to Minnesota, when I moved back to Minnesota from Georgia, I really didn't get involved at the theater because it was too cliquey. There was a small group of kids that were kind of in charge of of the theater, and I was like, this isn't right.
As happens
But
sometimes.
yeah, that's high school. And then, but then when I went to college, I did a lot of theater and did a lot of improv. And doing a lot of improv as a GM will teach you how to respond to players quickly, and it's hard to articulate. It's hard to tell people how it works. But you learn how to listen really hard. You learn how to listen and then give responses that allow the other person that you're playing with to keep going. Because that's the big thing is not just saying yes and, but opening up the other player or the other person, giving to the other person so that they have somewhere to go with what they say. So, for example, the whole thing of having the players get to build the adventure for you. Everybody make a roll and tell me you guys have to go and kill this crane samurai guy. Okay, everybody roll. And somebody says, "Oh, he's got a lot of horses." And somebody else says, "Oh, he's got a scorpion. He's got a scorpion sword." And then somebody else says, "That's my grandfather's scorpion sword." So when the first player says he has a scorpion sword, immediately in my mind, my question is, whose sword is it? And that's what improv will teach you. It'll teach you how to think immediately about how to answer a question like that, or how to add to something that somebody's already given you. It's all about adding and adding and adding and adding.
Yeah, my theater teacher used to say that when we're giving each other lines, we're asking questions, and
yes,
you ask questions to get answers.
You're feeding. Yeah. You're feeding the line. You're feeding somebody an opportunity to add something more. And then it's up to them if they want to add something more, or if they want to, change the subject, or if they want to, build on something else. You give the other person the opportunity to build on it. And I think that one of the reasons that a lot of gamers have, they find this to be a hurdle. It's kind of like it's a hurdle. It's because so much of gaming is about, how do I get advantage? How do I get advantage? How do I get advantage? And what's that?
Oh, I see.
And improv is not about gaining advantage. It's about giving. It's about feeding the other person. And as a GM, really, that's what you have to do, is you have to feed the other player. You have to feed the players and give them the opportunity to react to things, which is why something like NPC theater is so is so intuitively like, oh, I shouldn't have NPCs solving problems or having discussions, because who are you giving to? You're giving to yourself.
I imagine your experience as a street performer also builds on this.
As a pass the hat performer who relied on people giving him money in order to eat tonight, yeah, that had something to do with it.
So some more advice to young GMs is not only improv classes, but maybe get yourself in some sort of
street theater.
Street
theater is great. The California Renaissance Fair was really useful to me as a game master, because not only was I part of a group as part of a sea shanty group, where the seventh Sea Dogs come from, but I was also a pass the hat storyteller who had a regular show at a regular time at a regular place, and I would tell essentially kids stories. I had a kids show. And I was doing pass the hat. So if I didn't entertain the crowd, I didn't eat that day. And that will provide you with a lot of Motivation.
I
And then
can imagine.
I also did a storytelling circuit. There used to be a storytelling circuit where you could start on the West Coast and go all the way to the East Coast and then go across Canada and come back.
In
Uh,
schools or something?
Schools, Renaissance fairs, storytelling fairs, all that kind of stuff. And I was doing it dirt poor. I had no job, and the only way that I was going to eat was if I got people to put money in my hat when I was done. And I made it all the way to Texas. I started in California, and I made it all the way to Texas before I had to come home. But that was impressive to me. And I remember seeing Jeff Lewis, and Jeff Lewis was a incredible storyteller uh, who did a few albums with a couple of musicians that are called Celestial Navigations. Just an incredible storyteller, and I watched him telling stories in real time in front of a crowd. And I remember one of the best pieces of advice. Another guy, I was watching it with a friend of mine that I was traveling with, and I was watching him and I was going, "Oh my god, he's so good." And my friend said, "Don't envy him, learn from him." And I was like, something like, "Oh, yeah," and I took my audience hat off and I put my storyteller hat on, and I was like, "Okay, what is he doing? What when is he directly looking at the audience with eye contact? When is he looking away? When is he using gestures? When is he, how is he, how does he use articulation? How does he use his voice? How does, all those kinds of things?" And I learned a lot just watching Jeff Lewis tell stories. And that's something you can do. You can watch other GMs with a very critical eye and go, why do I like this? And then figure it out and then do it.
Well, I can tell you that I've stolen a number of techniques for my teenagers, and I've learned a lot, especially taking notes. How I have.
Tell me about one of them.
Um, well, one of the first things I do when a new player joins our group is tell them, okay, tell me 3 things people would notice about your character, and that really that helps break a lot of the ice and get them thinking about themselves in their character's shoes, and as well as gets them to think about what they're giving to other players in the group.
Yep. What's more is that it puts them in the position of talking about their character, which is great. But more importantly, it says, okay, and it's not about tell me about who your character is. It's tell me what people see
People see.
when they look at your character. It's visual. It's show me, don't tell me, right? But more importantly, and I learned this trick from Jared Sorensen. You say 3 things. You get 3 things. What are the 3 most important things? And that limitation makes them think, okay, what are the 3 most important things? Because if you tell people to talk about their character, they will go.
Oh,
When you
believe me.
tell them to go, they will go. But if you give them you get 3 things. What are those 3 things?
And beginners and introverts, that finding 3 things that
Yep.
someone else would notice can be a little bit of a struggle, but it also helps them open up. And for people
Yep.
who have really, really thought about their characters, uh, just this last Friday, I had to say, no, yes, I know your character's from the Underdark, but that's not something someone might notice.
Notice when they look at you for the first time, yeah. As opposed to Here's another take on that, which is, okay, how do I know you're from the Underdark? By just looking at you. One of the things I used to do with my storytelling, I used to do a workshop at the fair, and I would say, okay, so you have a costume. I want you to pick something on your costume that you can tell a story about. And so it may be a pin. It may be, like, for example, I had a mug. This is my mug, because at the Renaissance Fair, everybody carries around a mug.
And you
I was like,
have that on your belt.
And you have it on your belt. I said, this is my grandfather's mug.
Ooh.
And he was a bard. And it has all of his stories in it. But in order to get to them, you have to fill it up. So they float to the top.
Oh.
And so people would fill my mug. Right? So
keep you hydrated.
I keep hydrated. Yeah, of course I was drinking so much Coke back then. It was, But yeah, you pick something that, for the person who's in the Underdark, you go, okay, how do I know that? What are you wearing that shows me, what about you shows me that you're from the Underdark?
And he answered that.
Oh yeah? That's cool.
He answered that. And he's got, there's like goggles that you wear to prevent snow blindness that he wears all the time. Cool. He wears them around all the time, except when he's indoors at night, because his eyes are still adjusting.
Yep. That's very cool. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that guy.
I got some wonderful kids. But no, this is not about my kids. This is about.
That's okay. You can talk about your kids.
They're not.
I give you permission.
They're not my kids. They're the affirmations kids.
There you go.
But yeah. Storytelling.
Mm-hmm.
I lost the thread, so let's go back to the game record.
Okay.
Yeah, we met Doji Hattori.
And he was awesome.
And he was great. Yeah.
He was the party boy of Rokugan.
Party boy of Rokugan, even if he did strike down Our Lady's son.
What? No. Nonsense. That's a rumor.
Oh, well, Fujin was there.
Can you really trust Fujin? I mean, he's such a bitter, angry man.
Yes, you can.
Excuse me.
For those of us watching, that's my husband. He popped his head in from the office next door, which is another fun feature of having another player in the same household. Yeah.
Such a bitter, angry man.
Well, all of us, that was also another interesting thing. All of us had been affected by the coup in different ways.
Yes. Yep. That was something that I should have. Well, actually, I think I did once. I think I asked you guys once. Mm-hmm. I was like, "How did the coup change your character? Change who you are?" And if I was going to do this again, it would be actually like a formal question. It would be like a character design question.
Question 21?
Yeah, question 21, yeah.
Though I think you did ask that, and we did answer that. In the first part of our session 1. Was Fujin had been there.
Yep, Fujin was there.
And escaped.
And Todd decided he wanted to be there when Tatori killed Bayushi Shoju. He was in the room.
Yeah.
Okay, what does that tell you as a storyteller?
Somebody wants to be in the middle of things.
No, someone wants
No?
to kill Akoto Toturi.
Oh.
And so what happened? You guys got to meet Akoto Toturi.
And that was interesting.
Yep.
And my character had been getting ready to come into society and had her entire career derailed before it really started.
Yeah. Now, one of the cool things about playing with Todd, since he's in the other room and listening, is that Todd is a very self-motivated player. I don't need to give Todd a lot of things. I can give him little things and he will run 100 miles with them, right? And one of the things that I had thought about doing, but didn't need to really, was when you guys met Akoto Toturi as the Ronin, right? Is having the spirit of Bayushi Shoujo show up and to Todd and go, "Are you going to kill him or not?"
Well, that would have been interesting, but
Yeah, but I didn't need to.
But you didn't need to.
It was a card I didn't need to play, right?
Yeah, because he's already
so self-conflicted.
Yeah.
It's like I said, the best players are the ones you give them an inch and they take a mile. It's you give them a tiny little push, and they just go, and you don't need to push them any further. And Todd's that kind of player. So playing the Ronin Fujin, who's just so tragic. He's so tragic, and that makes him fun because you can give him little things and he will go all the way with them. And as a GM, you want that kind of player in your group.
I've used him
low maintenance players.
Yeah, I've used him as a plant to kind of model behavior to newer players.
Yeah, having that plant is always a good idea. Having someone in the game to show the other players how you want them to act, and the way you do that is you have the plant act a certain way, and then you give them an in-game reward. You give them a cookie, and then the other players go, "Well, I want that cookie, so I'm going to act that way." Yeah.
Yep, it works beautifully. Oh, yeah.
So what happened with Doji Hoturi?
Doji Hattori, we found him in the Dragonlands, told him that someone wanted to talk to him at Shiroshisuro, and he was right on board.
I know who that is.
He knows exactly who that is. And we took him back to Shiroshisuro and escorted him to meet with the lady. And at this point, a number of us players got a little bit nosy. And instead of...
You wanted to know if the rumors were true.
Yes, instead of returning to our rooms for the night, I think all of us at some point... I think all of us had decided we wanted to find places to snoop.
Yep.
And I wrote, I could not see clearly, but I heard voices, too. A small conversation where he confessed that he had missed her terribly, and life had not been the same without her. A note of jealousy, plain as if I could see it. There were sounds of passion, briefly, very briefly. Soft words, but I could not hear what, and a muffled voice. Then her voice. You'll understand soon, and you will know. Take him away. Someone was taken away. I heard as much and followed someone down to be shut away in the dungeons, and I could not see who or how. I decided to push my luck and my curiosity as far as it could go, already further than was proper, and I withdrew. The next morning, Doji Hattori came to breakfast with us, bright-eyed and congenial as always. Fujin passed me another paper in Our Lady's hand. Take him to Crane Lands. Who is in the dungeons? Well, we had our orders, and off we went. Oh.
And you guys had the opportunity to escort the false Hoturi around Cranelands.
Well, Cranelands, they might be, but we ended up in Ryoko Owari, which was
the sewer of the Empire.
The sewer of the Empire, but for our characters, this is home.
Still the sewer of the Empire.
But it's our sewer, even though it's controlled by the Crane now.
Yep.
Yeah. And, once
And again, here's an opportunity to show you all who Doji Hoturi is.
Yeah.
Or is it?
Or is it? Because once he got to Ryoko Owari, things were very different. And this was the game session where we had Nico join us. Shisuro Inkyo. Because Mikiko's player couldn't make it out on Mondays anymore, I think. So we had Nico from South Africa joining us. And his soft-spoken actor and scholar. So you have two Shisuro, so two people who absolutely love Ryoko Owari, and then the minute Hattori gets to Ryoko Owari, he starts killing people.
Starts burning it to the ground.
And making an absolute disaster of things. So we're there, and he's ordered Fujin to get opium production up, which, why is this samurai terribly interested in freaking commerce? Killing geisha dressed like Kachiko and making an absolute disaster and making an ass of himself. In our city.
And at this point, Fujin is not confident enough in his skills to challenge him to a duel.
Yes.
After all, it is Doji Hoturi,
the greatest swordsman in Rokugan.
Yep.
So we're faced with a dilemma here because I think it was indeed your idea for us to end up in Ryoko Owari because we found a map and started talking about this, and I think you might have smelled, oh, I have two Shisuro now who talk about Ryoko Owari, yeah. Well, it's another way to put on some pain. Because it is technically Crane Lands, and we have technically fulfilled our purpose, but our city. And then Todd gets the brilliant idea, because he's picked an advantage on his sheet that he's got the ear of the Emerald Champion. Oh, let's write Toshimoko.
Cool, help.
Yeah.
He's Hoturi's mentor. He's his sensei. He'll help.
He'll help.
And here comes the first big thing. The first real Gen Reacts in the game.
And Toshimoko comes, and everyone is, yay, we're meeting Kakita Toshimoko. It's the great Crane. He's going to straighten out his nephew. And that doesn't happen. And John...
As a matter of fact, the false Oturi kills Kakita Toshimoko.
Cuts him in half right there. Takes his sword and goes off to find a companion. Which leaves us all completely flabbergasted. As you talked about, it's not canon if it's not in our game, but then...
So here we go. One of the big canonical characters of the Clan War is killed.
Gone. And I think at that point we realized just how off the map we were and how off the map John was going to take us if this is the direction we head.
Yep. It was a great moment because the moment you said, hey, let's call Toshimoko, I was like, okay, this is an opportunity. This is an opportunity to not only... because and I wrote about this in Play Dirty, which is when you're going to run a game for in a setting where the players are know the setting well. In fact, some of them know the setting better than you do, which is true for the L5R game, honestly, because you guys have been keeping up with a lot of things that I haven't, and so you guys are much more familiar with the game. Or at least the setting, and so what you do is you throw in something that tells them or shows them more specifically, no, you don't know what's going on, and it creates a sense of peril and puts them in a place where they thought they were comfortable, and now they know that they're not. That sense of comfort that they have is actually not earned.
Mm-hmm.
So Jen, how did you respond when Toshimoko was killed? What was your immediate thought?
Holy shit! Holy shit! John is off in canon characters. I know nothing. I don't know where this is going to go. I already knew that things were going to be not what I expected. But yeah, we're off the map.
Well,
and that's a good thing.
Yeah, but not only that, it was not only that, it's a sense of I have to reevaluate things.
Mm-hmm.
And I learned this trick when I was running Pendragon. And way back when I first started... What's that?
Another very well-established setting and mythos.
And someone asked me, and this happens in every time that I run Pendragon. Almost every time. When you're running the game where you start with before Arthur is born, and you play the anarchy phase, and the Uther phase, and all that kind of stuff. And then Arthur shows up and draws a sword from the stone. And players will always ask, can I kill King Arthur? And I'm like, try it. And that's the best answer to give. Well, that's one answer to give, is try it. See what happens. He's got Excalibur. Do you know what it does? He's also got Merlin.
Yeah.
You know what that does?
Yeah.
He's also got the Knights of the Round Table. You know what they do? But no, there's various ways of answering that question, and one of them is try it, see what happens. The other one is letting them know ahead of time. Arthur, like any other NPC, is in play, but there are consequences to Arthur dying. And if you know the setting at all, you know that those consequences are incredibly dire. So yeah, you can kill King Arthur, sure. And so I've had players who've done it, who like, okay, we're going to conspire to kill King Arthur, and when they do, consequences happen. But that's the game that taught me how to fiddle with canon, because the Pendragon NPCs, like Lancelot, Arthur, Guinevere, Percival, Merlin, especially Merlin, they are all these archetypal characters that are elastic, and you can pull them and you can stretch them and you can make them be different things. The different ways that not Percival, but the Lancelot has been interpreted by different people is so vast, and yet it conforms to the core of who Lancelot is. One of my favorites is when T.H. White makes him like butt ugly. He is so ugly that he's difficult to look upon. Mm-hmm. So why does Guinevere fall in love with him? Because he's the greatest knight in the world.
Greatest knight in the world. Yeah, he doesn't have to be handsome.
He doesn't have to be handsome. He is courageous. He is honorable. Mm-hmm. He's compassionate. He's a poet. He's all of these things, and he puts himself in danger to protect other people.
What's not to love?
Sounds pretty good to me.
Yeah.
So
yeah, canon. Taking a canon to canon.
Yeah, you can fiddle with canon. You can pull it around. Canon is elastic, and you can fiddle with it any way you want as a GM, as long as you maintain that core. That what is the core of Rokugan? Mm-hmm. That there's an emperor, that there's clans, that the clans don't like each other and they would kill each other if they could, but they're all under service of the emperor. There's Shugenja. Like there are little things that you can keep in Rokugan, but you can stretch them. You can run a game of, and the classic one that people come up and ask me all the time is like, and this is so funny, people like feel obligated to ask my permission. But they do things like, so John, I ran a game, an L5R game where the Scorpion won the clan coup. Is that okay? I'm like, yes, absolutely do that, right? Mm-hmm. So yeah, fiddling with canon is fun, and it keeps the players on their toes because they don't know where things are going.
And then we felt to bickering again.
Yeah, because what do we do now?
What do we do now?
We have a murderous Doji Hoturi who just killed the Emerald Champion. Not just his mentor and his sensei.
And his uncle and his...
He killed the Emerald Champion.
Right.
And so, you give the players... They have a job. You give them an obstacle. And then you watch how they handle it. And this is the best part about GMing, because once you give them that obstacle, you can do this. You can just sit back and watch them. And they'll go and go and go and go and go. And I've had GMs tell me, like, no, you always have to keep the players engaged. You always have to have things happen. You always have to... I'm like, no, just give them a moral dilemma and sit back and watch. And they will talk. And I've had GMs that are like, oh, this is boring. I'm like, they're not bored.
And we weren't.
No, they're not bored. You're bored. And the reason you're bored is because you're not listening to them. And because when I give you guys the, Doji Hoturi kills the kills Toshimoko, I'm listening. And I'm going, okay, how is Jen reacting to this? How is Todd how is Morgan reacting to this? How, and just listening and going, okay, what can I do? What can I do? What can I do?
And I think
how can I push?
I think Nico said that was one hell of a game to hop in on.
Yeah. Because you didn't know what to do. In addition to the fact that the whole canon was thrown off track. Mm-hmm. You guys are now on a Back to the Future different timeline. And the what if the false Hoturi killed Kikita Toshimoko timeline that set everything off in a different way.
And in a lot
And
faster.
yeah, it sped up the clan war. Yeah.
And is what made you bring in Mr. December at this point?
Oh, Bayushi Yojiro.
Yes, us bickering as much as bickering and going nowhere.
So, the Raymond Chandler rule, the guy who wrote The Big Sleep, created created Philip Marlowe, the greatest, pulp private detective ever, said that whenever he didn't know where a story was going, he had a guy with a gun walk in the room. And when you read Raymond Chandler, you can tell when he was like, I don't know where this is going. A guy with a gun walks in the room. You can tell exactly where it is. And so as a GM, whenever I want to push things, like, okay, it's time to go now. I do the same thing. A guy with a gun walks in the room, and the gun is a metaphorical thing. It's an impetus to move. That's what the gun is. It shows the players you have to shit or get off the pot. It's time for you to do something now. And so having Mr. December show up as another agent of Kochko, who is checking up on you and checking up on the false Hoturi. Oh, thank you. And I have chicken. I have chickens.
Yeah.
Checking up on the false Hoturi, checking up on you, and calling him Mr. December because I don't want you all to know who he is yet. And he's just another Scorpion Ronin. But again, it's an opportunity to interact with a canon character. It's just you don't know that he's a canon character yet, but drop hints about who he is.
Like, okay, he's clearly Bayushi trained, a knowledgeable courtier, okay, and a little nudge here and there, and like, oh, you don't know what to do. Why don't you ask her? And
so the key is not have NPCs make decisions for the players. It's for the NPCs to offer decisions for the players. So when an NPC shows up, and see, I'm telling you all these things, so the next time we play, you're going to be like, oh.
Perfect.
So the next time, a guy with a gun just walked in the room. But the next time an NPC, I use NPCs to provide players solutions that they haven't considered. Or to give them feedback like, that is a really dumb decision and here's why. Right? Or, that is a very smart decision. You should totally take that action. Right? That's what NPCs should do. NPCs should not make decisions. They are not the protagonists. NPCs are NPCs, and they are there to feed information to the players. That's what their job is. So having him show up after you guys had this big debate, and he says, well, if you're uncertain about what you're doing for Kochko, maybe you should ask her. And that put you on the path of going to ask Kochko, what are we doing here?
And she replies, oh, your mission's complete. You're too important to my future goals to allow such a direct and vulgar confrontation with such a dangerous enemy. However, if anything should happen to him, I wouldn't grieve.
Oh no! The false Hoturi dies! Oh no! The rest of the world will think that Doji Hoturi is dead! Oh no!
Oh no!
That means I can keep him in the dungeon for years and years and years and years. And go down and see him every once in a while and just stand there and watch. And say nothing. And then leave. Actually, I'll just have one of my maids do it in disguise.
And then we got our next assignment. But then, at the same time, we're like, we can't leave him to wreak havoc. How are we going to take care of this? And there's debate, and then our Mr. December just looks at my character. You know his weakness. So, yeah, that's true. Me, the squishy little courtier.
Yep. You are the most effective weapon against the false Hoturi.
Yeah. The squishy courtier versus the greatest swordsman in the Empire.
Hey, you can't parry poison.
No, you can't. So we came up with, maybe it was a little stereotypical, but hey, works for me, a lipstick poison.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't take much to seduce him. He was all too happy.
Oh, go figure.
Yeah.
He's the playboy of Rokugan.
All too happy to drag me up the stairs. And then the door shuts. And I have to say I'm eternally grateful that you said, okay, Jen, you tell us what happens next.
Yes. It's not only is that the right thing to do, right? Just like as a person, not only is that like the right thing to do, but it also plays into later on. There was when you all were breaking the real Hoturi out of prison, and you came across a couple guards, and Todd, the Scorpion Samurai, said, "I killed them," and I said, "You're right." No rolls, no initiative, no bullshit. I'm a Scorpion Samurai. I'm at that point he was at least rank 4.
Yeah.
I think like a rank 4 samurai, and he was like, and it was very matter of fact. I was like, you come across 2 guards, and Todd said, and almost this exact timing, you come across 2 guards. I kill them. Of course you do, and you left.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's a point at which, like, we all talk about the whiff factor as in game design, which is the players in D&D. The players come up across a locked door. The thief tries to pick it and fails. The fighter tries to bash it down and fails. The wizard tries to use the knock spell and fails. Okay, now what do? You wait 10 minutes for everybody's abilities to reset. Right? That's the rule. As opposed to the thief walks up and says, I picked the lock. And the GM says, of course you do. You're the thief.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm not even talking about that perspective. I'm talking about from the perspective of a woman in a role-playing game. And like...
Yes. That's the moral thing I was talking about.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. You had put yourself... You said, I want this to be part of my story.
Mm-hmm.
I want to seduce the false Hoturi and put him in a position where my poison lipstick kills him. Right?
Yep.
And as a GM, I think my obligation is to go, okay, player, how does this happen?
How far do you want it to go on screen?
Yes, exactly. 100%.
And having really awkward situations happen in the past, and situations in the past where I had to tell the storyteller to just, let's tone that down a little bit. Having that turn over to me was really told me that I could trust you as a storyteller.
Aww. That's cool.
Yeah. So, and that was, yeah.
Well, I mean, I think that, and a large part of that also is because you clearly communicated to me my character admires Kachko, sees her as a role model, wants to emulate her behavior to a certain degree. Okay, well, she's the Scorpion Clan seductress for a reason. So how comfortable are you as a player with that? And then, and make it very specific, and don't, be coy about it. Don't, just say, okay, Jen, here you go. You're in charge now. You're in charge of the scene. What happens next?
Yep.
And give the player the ability to, instead of kind of like, flirting with it, just no, give the player the ability to narrate the scene the way they want.
And I was a little bit confused by this, and I was a little bit didn't quite know what to do with it. So I thought about, okay, what would the people downstairs be hearing?
That's interesting.
Yeah. So I said, yeah, you hear the door close, you hear nothing for a little while, and then you hear a body hit the floor. And then the next thing they know, they're coming up the stairs, and you see Katone standing over this body, stabbing his throat with a knife. Because, she's still very, very young. And then there was another big discussion about, oh no, what do we do now?
Well, we've killed the Crane Daimyo.
And the big discussion until you had, okay, Mr. December goes up, picks her up, asks her how she's doing, breaks a window, says, guys, we gotta go. Because we would have stayed there all night.
Talking about, what are we going to do now? What are we going to do now?
Next?
We leave.
We leave.
Did anyone see us?
Katone's in shock.
Yeah.
Because she's never directly killed anyone before.
It was her first murder.
His first murder. Yeah. And yeah. Yeah, and Fujin grabbed his daisho. And Fujin grabbed his daisho. Yeah. And we were off to the Shrine of Little Secrets. That was a cool...
The Shrine of Little Secrets. That was, I don't remember who came up with that.
I think that was you.
I might have. Okay, then, yeah. The Shrine of Little Secrets. I mean, it fits the Scorpion Clan. I'm a big thing of the little things make the soup.
Mm-hmm.
And so small details, small important details, I think really assist in building a setting. So having a shrine to the ancestor of little secrets, not big ones, not
just
who killed the Crane Clan champion, but little things.
No, it's only where we hit his daisho.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we picked up a box that we didn't look in. We did not look into it.
Yep.
But it was a box that we were just to take to Miyamoto Hitomi. Oh.
Gee, I wonder what's in that.
Yeah, that's not going to bite us in the ass.
No, I wonder what's in a box for Miyamoto Hitomi. Oh, dear.
Yeah. So we go and...
And again, here we are, we're playing with players' expectations. There's all kinds of things that could be in it. There's a most likely candidate.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll be honest with you. I'll be completely honest with you. At the moment that I gave you the box, I did not know what was in it. And I just waited for you all to speculate. There's a great bit of GM advice that a friend Mike Curry and I were talking about, which is when you do a murder mystery as a GM, you give the players clues, and then you ask them how they're going to solve the crime or what they're going to do, and the decision that they make is right.
Oh.
You don't know who the murderer is. You just wait for them to figure out who they think the murderer is, and then they're right. Or the path that they take to find the murderer is the right path. Right? Why screw around?
Okay.
Why screw around and have them go down red herring after red herrings aren't fun. This is a game. It's a storytelling game. And while red herrings are a literary device that get used from time to time, the red herring is always the thing that the player, or not always, but usually the thing that the hero either ignores, dismisses, or spends the least amount of time on, in general. So, make that true in the game, too. So when you guys are like, oh, it's got to be the obsidian hand, I'm like, yeah, it is.
We never did get a look at it.
Yeah.
We never did. This was a session that Morgan and Otake and Kanaka joined us.
Yep.
Morgan, formerly of the Otake, formerly of the Akoto, and his wife Yogo Kanaka.
Yes, in her
insensible,
very, very broken state.
Yeah.
What a great NPC to play with. Such a fantastic NPC. Okay, the best NPCs are the ones that you would play as characters.
Mm-hmm.
Because then you can really sink your teeth into them.
Though it would be really, really hard to play her when she was insensible.
It would be a challenge. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
But you know what? I would love to start her that way. As a character. Mm. This is my character. I am not entirely here. And the other players, when you have players like the ones that we have, honestly, the players that we have would be like, wow, they would recognize the challenge for what it is, mm-hmm. and they would lean into it. Players should always, is part of my advice for players, is lean into the other player's character concepts. Say yes to them. Right? If Todd says, I want to play the fucking badass, I want to play the Akira Kurosawa samurai who walks into a room with 30 guys, and the 30 guys say, we're gonna, you'll have to kill us to leave. And he goes, it'll hurt.
It'll hurt you.
That's, yes, it's gonna hurt you. That's, if a player says that's the character I want to play, then as the GM, you are obligated to lean into that. And as players, you should lean into it too. Mm-hmm. Speaking of vampire LARPs, I remember being at a vampire LARP, and my friend Jess was playing a knight. He was playing a medieval knight who had, as an experiment, Jess had built his character as a combat monster, which he had never done before. He had never played a combat monster before. And I remember when somebody had essentially physically, given him a threat. It was like, I'm gonna, blah blah blah. And I took the player aside and I went, hey, look, this guy here, he's gonna kill you. And it was frankly, as a player, it was more, I don't want to watch Jess murder somebody's character. But it was also my character, leaning into it, going, this guy, he's 1,000 years old. He was trained to kill people.
As a boy.
He's 1,000 years old now. he's gonna murder the fuck out of you. You know, the best option you have right now is to apologize and walk away.
Did he?
You know, and there are more than one time that you know, I had you know, I would lean into your guys' character concepts and say, hey, here's your opportunity to express your cool thing. Do your cool thing, and do it hard.
Like Fujin getting to spar with Miyamoto Hitomi.
Yeah, exactly. You
Oh.
get to be a badass in the presence of another badass, of a canonical badass. Absolutely.
Yeah. And delivering the package.
Yep.
Katone regrets not taking a peek. For when Hitomi opened the box, the look on her already severe face was as if clouds suddenly rolled over the sun.
Yeah, you know, the J.J. Abrams bullshit mystery box isn't always bullshit. It's just bullshit because he doesn't know what's in the box. That's why it's bullshit. And it's okay to not know what's in the box, right? There's a... It's okay. Like I said, in this box, I didn't know what was in it. I had some ideas. I had some qualifiers. But I was waiting for you all and listening to you and getting ready to say yes to you about what you thought was in the box.
And then we didn't look.
And then you didn't look. And that's okay. Because you still have the players going, oh, damn. Well, but then, unlike, you know, J.J. Abrams movies and shows, you give them the opportunity to find out what was in it.
Yeah, J.J.
Hey, you know, I got respect for the guy. You can't have, you know, but he's got to get over his mystery box bullshit.
Oh. And then the next mission, the name on the bed, Hida Kasada.
Yeah! She told you to go and kill Hida Kasada. And you all are like, oh. Why?
Well, it looked like... It looked a little bit more like... we were meant to blow up the wall.
Yeah. She wanted you to blow up a section of the wall.
That may or may not have had Kasada on it. But, then we had another argument.
Yep. Best part of the game. Best part of the game. When I talk about it, I say this a lot, and when I talk about it, what I mean is this. It's like, as a GM, you are obligated to put your players in situations where their character sheets are no help.
Yeah.
Right? And this is a great situation. It's like, I want you to go and kill Hida Kasada. No? And if half the players are going no, and half the players are going, of course we have to do this. Now you have plot, right? You have the David Mamet. Here is an obstacle. Here are the protagonists, and here's the goal. I want you to kill Hida Kasada. That's the goal. What is the obstacle? It's a quiz.
I think the obstacle for us was blowing up part of the wall with it.
It was the moral decision, right?
Yeah.
It's the, should we do this? The obstacle is not a physical thing. It's not a wall. It's not a person. It's a moral dilemma. And the reason that moral dilemmas exist is because morality is subjective and it's gray. It's sometimes it's hard to know what the right thing to do is.
Yeah. And I think if it had just been to kill Casada and not include blowing up part of the wall, I think we would have done it.
Yeah. That's why part of it is the wall.
That's why you chose part of it. That's why you chose to do it via the wall.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Because blowing up the wall is betraying the Empire.
Yeah. And that's...
If you blow up the wall, then the Shadowlands come running in. By the way, you know why she wanted you to blow up the wall?
We figured that out a little bit later. So then Casada would have to ask the Emperor for more money.
That's part of it too, and so that the crab would be completely have their hands full.
Yeah.
You guys didn't blow up the wall, and what happened?
She had somebody else do it.
She had someone else do it. And she's like, maybe I can't ask you to do anything. Maybe if I ask you to jump, you don't ask how high. You ask me, why should I jump?
Well, that came to this moral dilemma came to a head with meeting the lady, and showing her that we're a bickering bunch of
Yep.
a bickering bunch of agents that have maybe a few more scruples than expected, but still, creative problem solvers.
You're moral spies. What did Bayushi say about morality and honor?
That they are tools.
Tools to use against your enemy. We can't do this. We're honorable. And she just looks at you and goes, you're right.
Oh. So did you expect the group not to blow up the wall?
I didn't know what to expect. I knew that I was going to continue escalating things. And my job was to escalate things until you pushed back. That was like I talk about things like I don't have goals. I don't have plot. I have or plans. I don't have I have contingencies.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my contingencies were, okay, I have this list of missions that I can throw them on. And eventually one of these missions, they will go to Kochko and go, why are we doing this? I didn't know which one it would be, or if it would ever happen, as a matter of fact. But it did happen, and then once it did, it changed the direction of the campaign. Because I had to figure out then how for Kochko to win the character's trust again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and she did it by making a very sincere apology. Yeah, go ahead.
Which threw us for a loop.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do the thing that, give the players what they want. Kochko's going to tell us why we're doing this, but do it in a way that they don't anticipate. She is literally going to humble herself in front of us and apologize for not treating all of you, or for treating all of you in such a shameful manner.
Oh.
And even went so far as to make an offer of seppuku.
Yeah, which was, I think that was another one of your Jen reacts moments.
Yeah. It was also the moment that I remembered something about the L5R system that I love, that I stumbled on when we were designing it, was you get to choose which dice you keep. It's roll and keep. You roll a bunch of dice. You only keep a few of them, but you can choose which dice you keep. And when you're doing a contested roll against someone else, whoever rolls higher wins. And the moment that she apologized, all of you were like, "We want to roll sincerity." And I will never forget this. I will never forget how you just dove into your character sheets for okay, what bonuses
Sincerity.
can we get?
Yeah.
You were like, okay, I can do this and I can do this and I can get this many dice and I can roll this high and and I can do, and you were like,
I have
you're
this
like,
advantage.
The gate,
yeah.
I have this advantage and I have this and I have this, and you were all like, can we help her? Because you were going to make the sincerity check, and they're like, can we help her to give her bonus dice? Because this is Bayushi Kachiko. She can make anybody in the Empire believe whatever she wants. Mm-hmm. And you were like, I am rolling 15 dice, and I roll a 137 or whatever it was. And I said, yeah, she rolls a 6.
Because you pick which dice we keep.
You pick which dice you keep. And she wanted you to believe. So she kept all of her low dice, which means that she loses the sincerity test.
And she was absolutely sincere.
Absolutely sincere. Yep.
Yeah. And this
It was great. It was so good. I'm sorry, John. I interrupted you.
It was so good. And what made it even better is that this happened right after Kotone had a scene with Yojiro where Yojiro warned Kotone finally recognized him for who he was. And Yojiro warned her. He warned her about Kachiko, that she is not above acting out of spite. Don't be such a fangirl. This woman is dangerous and is not above acting out of spite.
Yep.
So with this, so that particular twist on it in that particular moment was particularly.
Yeah, he essentially said, I've loved this woman my entire adult life, and she's treated me like a tool, and not like you're a tool. No, like a utility. My entire life, and did everything in my power to think you might have a chance. You might have a chance, Yojiro. You were so my favorite.
And that was another step in Kotone realizing that her hero worship, she needs to be a little bit more realistic about her hero worship. I think that was the second step.
And that was the sucker punch. That was the 1-2 punch. Was the Yojiro saying she will abuse you and she will tell you everything you want to hear. She will, this is what she did to me. You cannot trust this woman. I am loyal to her because I am who I am, but I do not trust her. Like that whole thing. Mm-hmm. And then she does the sucker punch.
And then she offers us her life.
Yep. Now here's the question you have to ask, which, I'm sure all of you were asking. How much of that was real?
That was also very much on Kotone's mind.
Yeah, how much of this is real? You believe all of it because she went, I failed the test.
She's being sincere, but...
She is being sincere.
But what does that mean in the context of things?
Yeah.
And
it's one of the reasons I think... go ahead, Jen. I'm sorry.
And I think that's what makes... Honestly, what makes her a more interesting character is that she is manipulative, but she is also very sincere.
Yep.
And that makes
She
for better manipulations, I think.
Yes. Oh yeah, if you can convince people of your sincerity, that's the game. That is the whole game. And it's funny. A lot of people have asked me that they're like, I've read L5R and I've read how how you run it, and I don't know how you do this. It's like I try to run it and it doesn't work the same way as when you run it, and 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 I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that the game is so different than your standard, like, let's go and kill everything in the dungeon.
Mm-hmm.
Where morality is clearly defined. Things are good or evil. It's right on their character sheet. Right? And when the morality of a character is not good or evil, but crab and scorpion and crane, right? That's the morality. Then it becomes a lot more difficult to navigate, and that's when morality plays work. When the reason that Hamlet works is because at the beginning of the play, you don't know if his father killed or if his uncle killed his father. And even at the end, you don't know.
You're not sure. Yeah.
You're not sure. It's because the morality of Hamlet is never answered. And that's what makes L5R work.
In a game like L5R, the setting is so heavily hung on duty and Bushido, what your character's relationship with Bushido is.
Yeah.
And the players really have to buy into that. And if they don't...
Yes. Then it doesn't work.
Mm-hmm. And that's why when I run demos of L5R, I spend a good bit of time on Bushido and the tenets of Bushido. And this clan thinks this, and this clan thinks this, and this clan thinks that.
And the key to it is that, well, the way I explain it is that each of the clans picks a virtue of Bushido and says, this is the most important virtue, and leans into it hard. And the fact of the matter is, they're all right.
Yeah.
And they're all wrong.
Yeah.
What's the most important virtue? All of them.
All of them. Whatever, Oh my gosh. So that was a really intense scene, a really intense game session, and
again, and all it was you going to meet Kochko. There were no weapons drawn. There was no initiative roll.
There was There was the reveal of Itsuswari.
Oh, that's right. Yes, but that scene
was a presentation.
Yeah.
Not a weapons... drawn in a presentation, not in conflict.
Yeah.
And...
the other thing that to illustrate why I love that rule, the keep rule, is that you can be in a duel... Fujin could be in a duel with somebody. Someone that he respects. Not necessarily someone that is better than him, but someone that he respects.
Mm-hmm.
And they can roll for initiative, and Fujin can deliberately pick lower dice. And let me reset this up. So Fujin and this other samurai have wooden swords.
Yeah.
And they're going to have an Ayujutsu duel. They're going to do the I draw and strike duel. And Fujin deliberately picks the lower dice, and the other guy wins. And then they both bow and they walk away. And they both understood what just happened. Right? And that it works, that little rule works so well for a game about appearances and a game about honor, which is really how honor is how you treat other people on the battlefield. As soon as a sword is drawn, it's how do you treat other people. And if somebody says, "I'm hurt, I can't fight anymore," you give them your hand and help them off the battlefield. That's honor. And Fujin has it. He's got honor, which is his doom. So, but that's one of the other examples of why I love that system so much, and why it it was that scene with Kachiko that I remembered. Oh wait, she gets to choose which dice she rolls. So.
Yeah, and that was. I think at one point I burst into tears because it was just so emotional, and we had so much invested into it going into it, and in that scene that it was
you're ready for everything but that.
Everything but that. And I burst into tears and made some of you worry.
We had to do the thumbs up trick.
Yeah. Like, yeah, no, things are great. Things are fine. I'm great. And it was appropriate for the character.
Yep. But that was also a turning point in the game, in the campaign, because at that point, it's like, okay, the players have called her on her shit. She has to treat them differently now. They're not. They have actually. I have to decide. Have they elevated in her eyes, or now is she going to send them on missions specifically to kill them? And so I had to decide, and either way would have worked.
Yes.
Either way would have worked, but I decided that that the opposite was true. That you had elevated in her eyes.
I wasn't sure which one she decided.
Oh, and I had to keep it ambiguous for a while.
Yeah, I was absolutely not sure which one she had decided, and that was fun.
It's another thing about games that I've found about a lot of players is that gamers generally want definitive answers. Because we're playing a game and I have it says here I have a 4 strength. That means I have a 4 strength. You do not interpret it any other way than I have a 4 strength. That's it. I roll 4 dice when I roll strength. Which, by the way, is a side note why alignment is not a rule. Because you can't point an alignment and say I'm lawful good and it means this. Because the alignment is up for interpretation by everybody, which means it's not a rule.
Wildly different determinations.
Yeah. What alignment is Batman? What alignment is Darth Vader? Where he's clearly lawful evil. Like, clearly? No. But anyway.
Yeah. That's a different game.
But I make the joke, most D&D characters' alignment says neutral me, or chaotic me. Yeah, what do I want to do right now? Okay, I'll do that. But the while alignment in D&D is a bug because it doesn't really tell you anything, in L5R it's a feature because it says specifically what it is, and then you get to argue about it. The players get to argue about it. It's an in-game tangible thing. It's on your sleeve. Nobody goes around wearing "I'm lawful evil" on their sleeve, right? Because alignments don't actually exist. But your clan exists, and so there's that. But anyway, I was gonna say something about that, and I don't remember what it was.
About Itsuwari?
No, but let's get to Itsuwari.
Yeah. Itsuwari. Yeah, the present after we had fallen to we had a big thing after the lady offered us her life, and everybody objected. Everybody objected to that except Fujin, who kept his mouth shut.
Dun dun dun. At this point, Fujin decided, I do not like this person.
Yeah.
She needs to learn a lesson.
Yeah.
Which again is Todd telling me, "Oh, please fuck with me."
Oh yeah,
Please, yeah. She needs to learn a lesson. While quietly subtext, John Fujin needs to learn a lesson.
Katone's crying, saying, "No, no, my lady." Kurabayashi says something cryptic, because Raphael is delightful that way.
Yep.
And dressed as a dragon monk right now.
Yeah.
Telling John, I want to be cryptic.
Well, not only that, but Raphael is Polish, which means he must also be grimdark.
And already showing signs that he's crushing on my little courtier.
Yep.
Who has started crushing on Yojiro, because apparently that happened. And then
And again, that's players telling me exactly what they want.
And then Itsuwari. We had all flown to pieces, and then you reveal Itsuwari.
Yep.
And that was a really cool moment, because the sword revealed and everybody feels as if everything that we've done, every sacrifice we've made, every murder, every lie was worth it. And that was just a really neat effect.
Well, after all of the other stuff, you got to give the players a reward.
So maybe I stop crying. Oh, that was intense. That was great. Oh. And Lady Kachiko going, where did you find that? Lord Shoju gave it to me, and then sent me away so that it would not fall into hands of our enemies.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, that was a good scene. That was a good scene. Well, we've been talking for about 2 hours now.
Oh dear.
It doesn't seem.
It seems like a good place to take a break.
Yeah. That doesn't seem like it, but it was great to revisit this. To get some context and some peek behind the GM screen, as it were.
Yeah, it's really funny when at the end of a game, and it's funny in a good way, not in a ha 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 I'm laughing at you way. It's always fun when players will look at something and they'll say, John, you knew what was going on the whole time, and I'm like, yep, I sure did. I was to you guys. I had contingencies, but really the only plan that I had was push them and push them and push them and see what happens. That was the plan that I had. Other than that, it was all listening to you guys. And I think that's why in Letters to Young GM, one of the things I emphasized was just listen. Just listen to them. They'll tell you what they want. So, and you guys are really good players. And what I mean by really good players is that you do that. You go, this is what I want. And then when you get it, except not exactly in the way you anticipated, you say yes and go along with it. That's what makes a great player.
Were there any surprises thus far?
Surprises for me? That's a good question. I mean, yeah. I mean, sure. There are little things that you guys did that of course, when you take the GM off, it's hard to knock the GM off their game when they don't have a game plan. When they're just kind of going, yeah, sure, that's exactly what it means. Yeah, sure. And it's funny now, Jen, now that we talked about it and stuff, and we're going to play again on Monday, I suspect that you will look at it. I suspect that you have gone to a magic show and watched the magician pull rabbits out of his hat, and then you went to the magic seminar afterwards and learned how he did it. And now you're going to watch the magic show again and see all the moves.
For a lot of people, that makes the show better.
Yeah, well, for me, it certainly does.
Yeah.
Penn and Teller have a wonderful trick where they have Teller goes into a box, and they're like, if you want to know how the trick works, keep your eyes open. But if you would rather have the surprise, then shut your eyes, and we'll tell you when to open them. And I think that I again in Letters to a Young GM and in Play Dirty and other places, I've said that I made the analogy that the GM uses all the same tricks that a magician does, and once you learn them, kind of revealing who my favorite magicians are. But Penn and Teller were so inspirational to me is more than just magicians, but as skeptics and performers. But
they give a hell of a show.
Yeah, they give a good show. Because Teller said this beautiful thing in an interview. He was saying that the irony of magic, one of the great ironies of magic, is that the effect is always beautiful and the technique is always ugly. And it is the most banal, stupid thing. And when you learn it, when you learn how a trick works, you go, there is no way that this is going to fool anybody. This is so stupid.
But it does.
But it does. And it's the same thing with GM tricks. The trick is so stupid and so banal that you don't have a plan. You don't know what's in the box. You just listen to the players and wait for them to come up with an answer, and then you say yes. That's the plan. And it's just that easy. Game mastering is easy. It's the game system that makes it hard. When you have to, have a 500-page rule book, and you need to know all of it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's bullshit. I can run a role-playing game with a 1d6 and a talking stick.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, but yeah. We are on...
Do you want to call it there?
That's chapter 6.
Okay. And then we can pick up another time and go through what happened next.
Yeah. I had fun. Hope you had fun.
So did I.
Okay. See you later.
All right, I'll see you soon.
See you Monday.
Monday.